going on, guys? It's K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. So today is Monday. That's right, back on the grind. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a great weekend. So today we finally have the official launch of Bakkt Bitcoin Futures. You can see Bakkt says we are live. The first Bakkt Bitcoin Futures trade was executed at 8:02 p.m. Eastern Time at a price of $10,115. And if we have a look at what is going on, nothing. Absolutely nothing. We pulled back 0.85% and we're sitting slightly below $10,000, $9,895. We've been here before. This is not a level we haven't seen. Yeah, very lackluster. So the question is, what is going on? Are the investors, are the rich whales playing games with us because they all knew we were looking for a big move? Was this already priced in? Are people not actually interested right now? This is stuff that we need to talk about, and I'm going to look at a lot of different statistics today. We're going to look at some opinions, we're going to look at some data, and of course, we're going to look at some charts to see exactly what is going on, because don't forget, tomorrow we also have the SEC meeting with Congress, and a lot of traders might be taking that wait-and-see approach. I want to see what they have to say, right? Also, really quick, guys, if you do see this Bakkt tweet that they had, there's a lot of scammers trying to pretend to be Bakkt. You can see Bakkt, we've prepared something, etc. Hint, blah, blah, blah. Go to bakktget.com. This is by AB Tom. You go down here, bakktget.com, Grant Trudian. Okay, so these are all spam, so don't click on this. This is a scam, guys. Just want to let you know that moving forward, but yes, it is quite boring, so we are going to dive in. We're going to have a look. Also, today is Monday, so we are giving away the Ledger Nano S. You guys know all you got to do is comment on literally any video throughout the course of the week. And also, if you're not subscribed yet to the Crypto Zombie channel, well, we do this every single day, so you're probably missing out at this point. Now, let's give this a quick refresh live and see what is going on. Bitcoin dominance is staying at this 68% level. We did see it pull back. Altcoins had a little bit of a rally, and now Bitcoin dominance is starting to gain again. Now, having a look across the board, let me switch this to the Bitcoin comparative today because Bitcoin really didn't move much. So scrolling down here, it's actually a very mixed market. Not a lot of big gains, not a lot of big losses, relatively neutral. We do have BitCapital Vendor up 15%. About $2.4 million worth of volume. Okay, but we're going to talk about volume in just a second because that's a big issue that the CFTC and other people have, is that most of it is wash traded, right? We're going to talk about that. Crypterium, Energy, Waves, Tezos, Ardor, Riff, V-Systems, Hedge Chain, Insight. So there are some gains across the board, but for a Monday, and everyone's anticipating Bakkt, and we've only done $370 million for Bitcoin. This is very, very, very low volume. So having a look right here, you can see essentially we are still being pushed by this downwards resistance headed towards the level of $9,841, which has been playing out as some sort of short-term support. But if we do continue to breach it, and having a look that we are getting closer to the end of this, well, if we fall out of this, then we may potentially go lower. Now, why did yesterday's video say we are anticipating a big move? Today, we barely moved at all. Well, as I spoke about it, if you look at the Bollinger Bands, guys, they are beginning to tighten, and you have extremely low volume, and you have extremely low volatility. So when you have all of these factors together, it's a lot easier to manipulate the price, to push the price, right? The books are a lot thinner. There's not as much activity. And you can currently see right here, we are about twice the size of the Bollinger Bands width that we had down here before we put in this massive explosion. And just to sort of refresh your memories, you know, that was about a 232% explosion. So is that something that we're looking to basically achieve right now? Well, we are getting very, very close. Now, we are in some of these key levels. If we have a look at the one thing, though, that I do want to talk about before we move on is the VPVR. Now, that's, you know, the thing behind me right here. Now, basically, that tells you the most traded price, essentially, for Bitcoin. And over the past, basically, entire consolidation period, the most traded price for Bitcoin was $10,167. That's essentially the average price that people were paying for Bitcoin over this consolidation period. And you can see that we've currently dipped below that. Now, we're only being held up by this very small support that we had, like I said, around the $9,830, $9,860 level. But if we were to fall below this, the next real level that we're looking looking at is about $9,282. So the question is that possible? Because we don't have a lot of VPVR range really down here, and especially if we go above this, you can see it starts to thin out as well. So we are at a very critical level where once we do have this move, it is going to be quite massive. Now, if you do think it's going to go to the downside, that is possible because you can see right here, Bitcoin has just sort of been slowly, just basically falling lower and lower as we're just we tried to break above the resistance once and we failed. Other than that, we haven't really even been getting close to it lately. And also having a look, if we do drop down, straight down, you are looking at a $9,500 level, that $9,300 level that we spoke about. And if we do fall all the way to the bottom of the channel where we had those two wicks, essentially that's $9,100. So could we fall below 9,100 and essentially catch this purple trend again in the descending channel? Well, here's the situation I wanted to just point out super quick, okay? We have come upon a major moving average. This is the 128 on the daily. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is because as you can see, we are basically sitting actually just below it. We're closing just below it right now as we speak. Now, you can see when we wicked below it before, we came above it. We came down here with this green candle. We sat above it again, and currently we are below it. Now, why am I bringing this up to you? Well, because during the bull market essentially of 2015 through 2016 into 2017, it provided absolute support the entire time. Only having minor moments where we wick below it here, a little wick here. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And then as you can see, once we flipped into bearish mode, that essentially held us down and became the resistance. So once we got above it again, now it is looking to provide support. And currently we are sitting on it right now, trying to push lower as we speak. But the question is this just a daily fake out? And are we going to pull back up and be held by this? Or are we looking for that inevitable Bakkt dump? Well, having a look right here, this is the Bakkt monthly futures contracts. They have been going up. This morning when I woke up, it was about 18. Now it's up to 29. So you are seeing interest coming in right now. I'll give it a quick refresh live, see if it's gone up at all. Nope, still at 29. Okay, so 29 is not that impressive. It's pretty damn low. It's very low. That's only 29 Bitcoin, right? So the situation is, well, that's not really going to be making much of an impact, is it? Well, it is very early. It is very early indeed, but some people are saying it could have been a buy the rumor, sell the news type of an event. This is actually Litecoin, and the green line represents Litecoin's halving. And you could see that Litecoin actually pumped all the way up, but then actually had a bit of a sell-off leading up to the event, okay? So that was one situation. So some people are saying, well, that didn't happen. Bitcoin didn't have, I mean, technically we were consolidating, right? But we didn't really have a sell-off, and we definitely didn't have a major dump like we had when the CME futures launched at the all-time high. So what is the situation? Well, Suzu, CEO at 3 Hour Capitals, she said that Bakkt is not likely to see a sudden spike in volume in the short term. She says until brokers establish a system to push trades onto Bakkt, the Bitcoin futures market is not likely to see large volumes that, are anywhere near what the CME group has been able to achieve. She says Bakkt will likely first be a trickle and then a flood. The reality is that most regulated futures contracts get low adoption on day one simply because not all futures brokers are ready to clear it. Many people want to wait and see. The tickers are not even populated on risk systems, etc., right? Also, it could take days or weeks before Bakkt begins to see any meaningful volume from Bitcoin investors, lessening the potential impact of basically Bakkt on the Bitcoin price. Also, the fact that at this point, we're very tired of it, right? I mean, how long were we hearing about a Bitcoin ETF? How many times did Bakkt get pushed back, right? Maybe we were just ultimately bored of it, right? Or, like we said, it could have been priced in. Matt Odell, Bitcoin analyst over at Tales from the Bitcoin podcast, he said, honestly, didn't think that Bakkt would launch. Pleasantly surprised. Bitcoin just got a big credibility boost. Kind of unreal, to be honest. I think that's the thing, too. Most of us were probably not even thinking it was going to launch, right? But here's the situation. If you do look at what Bitcoin did leading up to some of its well-known, basically big milestones, such as the halving events. Now, these are things that we know are coming. They're not sprung upon us. It's not like Donald Trump coming out randomly and banning Bitcoin. No, these are events that we're anticipating, right? And when we have a look at this right here, you notice that we have a little bit of a run-up. By the way, this chart's a little outdated, but I'm just trying to show you the Bitcoin halvings. It doesn't really have to be current. So you can see right here, look, we start going up, and then on the actual, day of the halving, we actually just kind of put in some sideways movement for a little bit before we eventually have the blast off. The same thing happened during the second, right? We have a little bit of a run up. And then actually, this sort of did what Litecoin did. We actually had a little bit of a pullback before the halving event, and then we finally had our run up after the dip. So it could just be that people are genuinely not really excited. They were anticipating it. One thing that Cantor and Clark points out, though, he says traditional markets do not let most people get access to the best liquidity. The best liquidity and highest volume is an exclusive group. The world is basically... Or they say, though, he says the worst is recycled for retail. But crypto's the opposite. Access to the best liquidity is pretty direct for retail. And that's something you have to consider, is that a lot of the traders that want to be in the space right now, that want to be trading Bitcoin, most of them already have accounts on Binance or BitMEX or Bybit or whatever, right? Or KuCoin or whatever exchange they're trading on, Coinbase. They're already in the game. They're already trading, right? But you do have to consider that there are always those skeptical investors that don't want to dip their toes in the waters until they do have that regulatory approval, or they do have that, legal custody solution, which is essentially what Bakkt is doing. You could see that according to Cantor and Clark, Bakkt is essentially recycled liquidity quoted from retail venues. This is the opposite of the normal liquidity profiles of traditional markets. Now ask yourself, why would Bitcoin price have jumped upon a Bakkt opening? Those interested are likely already involved, right? But here's the situation. Bitcoin to date has still been one of, the best performing asset class basically of all time, and not even just the class, just Bitcoin alone. Outperformed everything this year. Even though gold has been going up, it's still skyrocketed well over 400%. And if we have a look at this, it is the 11th largest global money in the world. Now, I know what you're thinking. That's great, right? You can see Bitcoin right here. We're almost there. All we got to do is beat Russia, India, Switzerland, UK, silver, US. Okay, but also keep in mind that Bitcoin is only 0.09% of all of the money in the world. So we're not even currently at 0.1%. So when you consider how low this is and how early we are, the opportunities definitely, certainly, in my opinion, outweigh the risks, but the risks are still concerns.
So Bitcoin comes on the stage and the banks go, okay, great, buy them. We can't. They're not a company, and if we start buying up all the Bitcoin, it's just going to get more valuable. And then we won't be able to buy it all. We'll just make the people who invented it richer, and they'll be able to fight us. Oh, okay.
So you can see that the banks have a little bit of a situation here, right? If we try to buy up all the Bitcoin, if we're even able to do it OTC, which isn't really possible because there is a lot that's already distributed out among a lot of retail holders, because this is a situation where we had essentially the regular, everyday, average person basically come into the market before the institutions did, right? Usually the institutions set the pace and then go, okay, now we're ready to have retail come in. Well, you can see right here that the banks are in a situation where they really can't do anything about it. So it's either regulate it and find a way to, tax it or use it or get out of the way, but you're probably going to miss out, right? And you see right here from the CFTC, you have Brian Quintens, and he was actually talking to CNBC, discussing the future of Bitcoin, discussing Bitcoin futures, as well as these different custodial solutions. And I just wanted to play this clip and kind of show you what he had to say, because essentially you can see right here from the quote, the crypto industry is just going to get bigger.
What do you see the future then of crypto? How fast do you see the expansion, if indeed you do see an expansion in that space?
I think we've already seen a huge expansion. I think it's just going to get bigger. I think as more established companies get into cryptographic products, whether they're centralized or decentralized, I think you will see the appeal of all crypto assets increase across the globe. That will, create new challenges for us as a regulator, but we're ready to meet those challenges.
So he says we're ready to meet those challenges, and he says it with a smile on his face, so this doesn't show me that they're not welcoming it. I mean, it looks like these guys are definitely getting excited for Bitcoin, right? And even with the whole LIBRA thing, you kind of saw the tune change a bit. When LIBRA tried to come out, they were like, oh, you know what? We actually do kind of like Bitcoin a little bit better, right? So I just wanted to kind of mention that. But interestingly enough, you had the actual CEO of the Intercontinental Exchange, or ICE, right? Also owner of Bakkt, Jeff Sprecher, said that Bakkt has experienced a flood of curiosity on the company's imminent launch of the Bitcoin futures, right? He believes it could take months before it's clear if Wall Street is actually diving in or not. He says it's not demand yet. It's intense curiosity. It's the sense that money managers want to be at the front of this train and not left out, right? So the day-to-day news coverage about Bitcoin, price going up, price going down, doesn't really matter. But underneath, he says, we see sophisticated people investing in infrastructure and compliance that's unrelated to the price. But they won't use that infrastructure. They won't be true global acceptance until we can build out the rails in a regulated manner. Plus, I wouldn't be surprised if Bakkt was accumulating all the way up during this little bit of a run-up that we had right before the consolidation. You also had the CEO, Kelly Loeffler, says that she expects retail brokers, college endowments, and pension funds to be among the first takers when the flood does come in. But you could see head of product strategy at TradeStation Crypto, James Putra, basically said the move to centralize and create a scalable infrastructure for crypto asset investment is a positive step. And I do know that some people are against this. Some people say that's not Satoshi's vision. It's not decentralized. The whole idea is to get away from them, right? But we do know that that's not reality. And eventually there will be a marriage between that centralized and decentralized aspect of Bitcoin. You'll always have the decentralization of the miners. You'll always have that, ability to own your own money, for it to be censorship resistant, right? A bank or government, they can't actually seize it. However, in order to become more accessible and more accepted and actually have these people willing, average people, average retail investors to jump on board, they will want to see some kind of regulatory compliance. That's just the reality of it, right? We are the pioneers here, but a lot of other people, they're not going to take that leap. But you can see if the current products are successful, ICE does plan to offer a product aimed at merchants next year. So that's good. Also, I wanted to talk about this SFOX volatility report. This has a lot to do with also why I think there's going to be a massively big move. But another problem, oh, by the way, it did switch from neutral to mildly bullish. Just want to point that out. But the situation basically summarized here over by Mickey is that the report basically says that wash trading in crypto has declined since the start of the year. However, the majority of crypto exchanges are still faking their volume. And this is a big problem, a big hurdle. And regulators are not going to be cool when you have all this fake volume across exchanges, right? The latest market surveillance report from Blockchain Transparent Industry basically found that among the top 100 exchanges on CoinMarketCap, 73, so that's 73% of the top 100 were wash trading, over 90% of their volumes, right? The report stated that actually Kraken, Poloniex, Coinbase, and Upbit were found to be cleaner, the worst of the exchanges being OKX and Buybox, which had about 75% wash trading. They created a list of verified exchanges, and recent additions to the list include Binance, Gemini, and Bitflyer as well. But if you guys really want to know why you should be super bullish on Bitcoin, I don't have time to go into this, but this was a really amazing report that was put out on CoinDesk. What's an article essentially? What billions in Fed repo injections reveal about the promise of Bitcoin. You've heard about this lately. We've talked about inverted yield curve. We've talked about the Fed, basically pumping money into the system. So have a read. I will drop this below, but this is definitely one of those bullish articles that we don't have time for today, but it's definitely worth a read. Now, I do want to just talk about some quick news and then get on out of here. We do have scammers that are using, it's a fake mainstream news article. It's a whole website. I went to it today. I'm not going to drop a link because I'll probably get in trouble, because last time I dropped a link, YouTube said I couldn't, even though I was just trying to explain something. But anyway, the site essentially is economicsworld.info. It is a scam. It's fake. They have a bunch of celebrities on there with Kate Winslet and, Andrew Forrest, known as Twiggy. Also, it's allegedly backed by Richard Branson, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and all this other stuff. It's a Bitcoin profit system. It's a scam. Don't use it. Just want to let you guys know. And finally, before we go, I was actually pretty interested in finding out that Facebook did finally reveal what their Libra token will be pegged to, because we know it's going to be a basket of currencies. So it's going to be 50% to the US dollar, and the rest of it will be in this percentage. You will have 18% euro, 14% yen, 11% the British pound, and 7% Singapore dollar. The basket will not include the Chinese yuan. But that being said, guys, let me know what you think about Bakkt. Let me know what you really think, why we didn't see a movement. Is it because the price was we were already expecting it? Are people tired? Are all the investors already trading? All the investors that want to trade, are they already trading on, futures like BitMEX and CME futures, or even on Bybit and things like that? What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me see if do we have any more contracts? It's still 29. Wow, there was a whole bunch of them that came in this morning. Maybe the site doesn't doesn't refresh very often. Maybe it takes a while because this morning it jumped like 10. I don't know why it didn't move right now. But that is the situation. And of course, we do have to give away the Ledger Nano S for the day. So once again, thank you to everybody that dropped a comment on all of the videos. We did have 7 because there's 7 days of the week, 7 videos. Number 7. So that was yesterday's video. All right, so let's go to yesterday's video. Whoop, put that down. Copy that. All right. Oops, 1 second. All right, let's see what we got here, guys. 863 comments. All right, drum roll please for the Ledger Nano S. Kaneo Ease, great analysis. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, I do like to just kind of give like the general overview. You know, I don't like to really give signals on the channel. That's not really the idea. The idea is to help, you know, basically just educate and allow people to make their own decisions. But thank you so much. I do appreciate that. I do put a lot of work and time into it. So you are the winner of the Ledger Nano S. You know, all you got to do is hit me up in the official Telegram group, or you can go to my About section on my YouTube page and my email. Those are the only 2 ways to contact me. Do not answer any comments below. There's a lot of scammers all over the place, even on Telegram. Go to the official channel or the official email. And that is it for today, guys.